Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
Good, wonderful morning, Sifu.
Yes, sir. And you're joining me very early. I appreciate you.
Hey, it's only 7 o'clock. It's like hours yet. I'm joining you live from San Diego, California.
That's it. I love it. Thank you. And I'm in New York. And for me, it's lunchtime, right? Because I am up at 4. Jeff, you've been in a couple of my other shows, and I appreciate you being there. But this is the show I've been looking forward to because I get to know you more, right? You were like down the block from me, and now you're so many miles away. You're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. You used to live on the East Coast for a bit. So tell me, where were you born?
So going back, originally from the Bronx. As I say, when people, I live in San Diego, and they say, I detect the New York accent. I say, look, you can take the boy out of the Bronx, but not the Bronx out of the boy.
That's right.
But Sifu, that was just for the first couple of years. I was basically raised on Long Island, where you are streaming right now from.
Right. Very cool. So who would you say influenced you before, 15, 16 years old?
I'll tell you, I'm married 41 years,
Mm.
and my mom is gone. And my mother would tell my wife, I don't know where he came from. So there was definitely something inside of me. And I guess I have to give credit to my parents, because when we're at that age, in the young age into the teens, I mean, these are the people you invest most time with. And there's always been that drive. That's been a drive in there. So do I really know? No, but I guess everyone I've been around and the way I was raised, and probably family.
You say your parents, there are 2 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
One had to influence you differently than the other. Talk to me about that.
Both my parents were teachers of the New York City Board of Education. Mm-hmm. My dad was a music and chorus teacher, and mom was special ed. So I was brought up in that environment. Unfortunately, they went through strikes with the NYC. But my dad was I would say he was a leader. He was also getting involved, so I kind of looked up to that. Mom, brilliant, a very cool woman, and kind of always the right thing to say. So they raised 3 kids. I'm the oldest of 3 boys. And we were always provided for.
Mm-hmm.
They exposed us to culture. We went to theater. We went to opera. I mean, there was one show we had that, I don't know, I was 10 years old, and I did not want to be involved in that, but I was exposed to it. So I think the parents exposing us to different experiences was a wonderful lesson. And I've done the same thing for my kids. It's very important to not just live in a certain bubble, to be aware of what the world has available for you. And we were in scouts and in baseball, Little League, so a lot of other environments.
Gotcha. Outside of your parents, who would you say impacted you as a young man?
You know, uh, I have to believe also my faith was important. I mean, we went through Hebrew school and we went to Sunday school and all that. Um, because even today, well, people say, "Are you religious or observant?" I mean, what we do on Fridays is Shabbat. I have a some beverage, challah, and candles. And we don't keep kosher, but we do anything. And
Mm.
I've been involved throughout my career in a lot of Jewish causes. I was president of the men's club in Plainview, wherever you are. I served on the board of the Jewish National Fund. I currently chair Kindness Initiative, which is focused on Jewish poverty here in San Diego. I've been the American Jewish Committee. So that community has really affected me, and it's still to this day, it's very important to me.
Very good. Very good. Did you live in Plainview, or did
We
you
were
work?
brought up in North Massapequa,
Okay.
and it was a great mix of individuals and families. You know, sometimes people call it matzah pizza, Italians and Jews. But I was raised there, went to undergraduate in SUNY Oneonta, and then at the ripe old age of 21, I moved 3,000 miles away to go to San Diego. When we moved back in New York in 2003, I enjoyed living in Nassau County, Long Island.
Mhm.
So we resided in Plainview. We were there for 21 years.
Mm.
And I've just been back in San Diego because my wife said, she's native Californian, says, I'm retiring in San Diego. You're welcome to join me. So we've been back here for about a year and a half, and I really am enjoying it. So in background, look, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of life experiences. I lived on the East Coast, on the West Coast, on the East Coast, and now I'm back on the West Coast.
So you have a very smart wife, right? Because you
Oh,
followed.
absolutely. Look, for my wife, like I say, married 41 years, to put up with a New Yorker, she's in California, an attorney, an entrepreneur. If there's a medal on the face of this earth, she deserves every one of them.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. So tell us about schooling for you. How was school growing up? And then eventually, what was the precipice, if you will, that said, I need to go to law school? Was it your idea, somebody else's idea, your parents' idea? How did that come about?
Again, my mom said she doesn't know where I came from, but I think she really does. So I'm one of those strange individuals, Sifu, that I always knew that I was going to be an attorney. I
Mm.
mean, we're going to go back in grade school. I was involved in student government in elementary school.
So you were debating back then, huh?
Yeah, I'm not a masturbator, but in junior high, seventh grade, I was a New York State officer of the New York State Historical Association. And I was involved in college. I was a student senator. And eventually in 1992, I ran for United States Congress. So there was always that desire for leadership, the desire. And like, if I really thought about it, because Sifu, you're not the first person to ask me this question. When I think of all the things that I've done, the essence is the desire to give back to others. I'm inspired by the inspiration of others. And as a position, as an attorney, as a congressman, as a leader, as a nonprofit leader, that is what you do. In leadership, you give the opportunity to provide to others and make their life a lot better.
So you knew early on you wanted to be a lawyer.
I did.
What kind of lawyer?
There are no attorneys in the family, and I say this question's been asked, do I know where that came from? I don't. But it was that internal desire to give back, to look, you and I, and basically everybody in this universe has accumulated knowledge, and we dispense wisdom. That's a different kind of knowledge and a different kind of wisdom. So whatever knowledge and experiences I've had, look, in undergraduate, I had a dual major of speech communication and political science. So it was a path. And I can share with you, see, you have to be driven. You have to really want something. Because if you don't want it, you're not going to get it. Now, I'll admit, I did not pass the bar exam at the first time. But I was, and no one asked you when you're an attorney, how many times you take the bar exam? Right. But I was driven. And well, the name of my business is Conceive, Believe, Achieve. So I knew what I wanted. And if you know what you want, and if you have that passion, and you can create the specific steps, you're going to achieve it. It's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure growing up, you probably heard other people talk negatively about lawyers. What was your take on that?
Didn't affect me. And let's just clarify something. I've never grown up, and I never will. So
you and I both.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, any profession, there are good people and there are bad people. And it's all about your perception, because every day life throws us crap. It's how you choose to address that. And I'm very grateful for all the challenges that I have, because there are people that were worth challenges. And I guess that's also another reason I get involved in so many nonprofit opportunities. And I'm going to take this opportunity to share one of my favorite nonprofit opportunities is Life's Angels. In addition to the profession, I enjoy poker. I enjoy playing poker. And we're going back a dozen years ago, well, actually 10 years ago. There was a group of guys that we would play once a month at a VFW hall in Williston, right on Long Island. And we'd have tournaments. So we decided, since we did 12 tournaments a year, let's do one tournament for charity.
Nice.
So we were looking for a charity, didn't find that we liked, so we started one. We started Life's Angels. And the mission of Life's Angels is to give back those who have been dealt a bad hand in life. So Sifu, that was 10 years ago. On April 29th, at the Mansion of Oyster Bay in Woodbury, we will be celebrating our 10th annual Life's Angels tournament. Now, these a couple of guys got together, Conceive, Believe, Achieve, had the vision. To date, we have given away $700,000 to those who've been dealt a bad hand. And that's the inspiration. I'm inspired by the inspiration of others. And if you have the opportunity, we all do have the opportunity to help others. That's what we should be doing.
Yeah, love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's so important. I love the concept of, if you don't find what you're looking for, build it. Yeah, I love that.
And again, understand your passion. If you don't like it, change it. Look, this Conceive, Believe, Achieve is my 6th business. When I moved from New York to San Diego as a 21-year-old, basically a stranger in a strange land, never been to California. So what did I do? I started a business. I started a business called Servers Are Us. It was a process serving business. Well, number one, as a student, you need money. Number two, as a process server, I learned the area that I live in. And 3, who are my clients? Attorneys. And if I'm studying to be an attorney, I want to be around attorney. And eventually, one of my clients did hire me. I worked for that individual for 5 years. And it's funny, Sifu. You hear stories of businessmen and women and what motivates them to take that jump. Because I would say jump and the net will follow. Mm-hmm. So I worked for this individual for 5 years. It was an executive office situation. And a window office opened up. He said, law clerk doesn't get a window office. A window office opened up. I said, Bill, office opened up 2 doors down. I'm an attorney right now. Can I have the window office? He goes, no. He says, I get it. I understand. It costs more in rent. I'll pay the difference in rent. No. So here it is, this 27-year-old, been married just 2 years. What do? Can't work with a guy that won't give me a window office I'll pay for. So I started my own business. Again, understanding what you want, creating the specific steps to do that, envisioning it. And Sifu, in 2 years, this 27-year-old kid who started the office, I hired 2 attorneys, 3 support staff, and over 400 clients. So It can be done as long as you have specific action steps. But the most important thing, what do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, you're not going to get it. An example that I get, now I know you've driven on the LIE before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you don't know what exit you're getting off at, you will never get there. So understand what you want and then create the plan to make it happen. Because if it is to be, it is up to me.
That's exactly it. I love it. Jeff, what kind of law did you practice when you were practicing?
I was a general counsel to businesses. Everything from formation to operations, preparations, contracts, also litigation. Early in my career, when I worked for that gentleman for 5 years, he specialized in personal injury. So early in my career, I was a personal injury litigator. And I argued to judges, to juries, to appellate justices. I even had one matter before the United States Supreme Court. And you say earlier you said people negative and get bad names about attorneys, but we're there to do a job. And it's good to take unpopular cases. So in 1990, this is now 2026. In 1990, very early in my career, I think I had the most significant case of my entire career. Not the most economic case, but the most significant case. We were the first ever to sue the skinheads in San Diego County. A couple of kids were in a basement drinking beer. They said, let's go do some damage. They got some spray paint, sprayed SWAT stickers and Hitler at a temple. And this did the same thing, my client's home, which was 2 doors away. So needless to say, that was front page news for 2 weeks, closing argument, CBS, ABC, NBC, standing room only, and we prevailed. And usually when you get one big case, other big cases followed. And I had some very interesting cases because I'm not shy to fight for someone who's been wronged. I even do that still today in my consulting business.
I love it. I love it. So you've created 6 businesses, and all because you didn't get what you wanted.
Well, not what I didn't get what I want, because I was intrigued by the opportunity. Look, we're going to go back. I was a teenage ice cream man. Sometimes dingling then, things never change. But I had the ice cream business where I rented my truck and I bought the ice cream, set the prices. And as when I went to California, I started to serve as a Russ, started a law firm. And here's what's interesting. In 1998, a client came to me and says, Jeff, you ever hear of this thing called e-commerce in 98? So I was intrigued. I said, what the heck? We took a ride to Los Angeles, met with a Disney marketeer, a Big 5 accountant, a 22-year-old techie, my client and I. And they had this grand idea to get a locally based internet directory funded by advertisers. Well, it was an idea. There was no revenue model. There was no operational model. So they scattered. But I liked it. So I tweaked it. I also teach everyone has a certain high impact, high income. And you have to find others who play at what you work at.
Right.
So if you're going to build an internet directory of businesses, and Google didn't even exist at this time, you know, you're not going to go to business, hey, I'm a kid, I got an idea, give me money, give me businesses. Find out what the need is. So where do you find local businesses in 1998? Community newspapers, papers that have circulation of 25,000 or less. So I'm not a coder or developer. I hired software developers. We built a program to take that community newspaper online, articles, pictures, classified, and I had the software program subscription-based revenue. Now, the butcher in that newspaper says, hey, newspaper, you're online. I want to be online. So we built those websites. We went, Sifu, I got some venture capital from a Japanese company. We built from one newspaper to 100 and sold it 3 years later. So find a need and create that solution. Then I went back to New York because I wanted my kids to grow up in the same kind of family environment I grew up in. Right now, my daughter's 34, my son is 32, and they're still in New York and we're out here. So I built the law practice and I came back out and now I built CBA. Well, actually, let me take it back for a second. You're talking about how you build other businesses. So from 2013, Sifu, to 2015, I was humbled. The two most humbling years of my entire career. I was the chancellor of the oldest and largest law fraternity in the world, a few 100,000 members, past presidents of the United States, U.S. Supreme Court justices, and I was the chancellor that led them into their second century. The organization turned 100 years during my leadership. And I traveled the country, met students, attorneys, academics, legislative leaders. And at that time, Sifu, I've been practicing law for over 30 years. I says, you know, to be able to take an organization at that time, make them financially solid because they weren't, increase the membership, and lead them into the second century, that's when I decided, all right, maybe not as much the practice of law. Let me be a chief operating officer. And I was hired by businesses, a basketball company, a SaaS company, to help run their company. Because when you're a general counsel of business, whether you're butcher, baker, or candlestick maker, whether you're a solopreneur, you're Honda, Mitsubishi, American's favorite chicken, all my clients, you learn something. So I can give back.
Wow, I love it. I love it. You talked about you ran for Assemblyman, Congress. What did you run for?
United States Congress. Now, Sifu, understand this is now 1991. I never ran for anything, even dog catcher. So, as I indicated, we had that big case against the skinheads in San Diego, and I had other cases. And when you own a business, you network and you market. So a client of mine says, Jeff, take this breakfast. I took the breakfast. And during this breakfast, it was August 1st, 1991. I remember it very, very clearly. So Jeff, in 1990, there was a new census and there was an extra seat in San Diego County. We want you to run for Congress. Like talk about a shot out of the blue. Yeah. So they tried for about 3 months to encourage me to run. Now, understand, my wife is pregnant with our first child at the time. So I'm not doing that unless I get authority, permission, and we're a team here. So 3 months later, November 23rd, 1991, I get a basket of flowers at my law office with a little card said, say yes. So there it is. Here's this 30-something kid, never ran for office before, and running for the United States Congress. I'll tell you, Sifu, talk about an experience. I was used to the cameras in my face. We had to do a lot of smile and dial, which I didn't particularly like, but I liked the canvassing going door to door and meeting with people. And, we had position papers. We went to the local newspapers areas. We went to them instead of them coming to us, as I learned from my work in working with papers. And 50,000 San Diegans voted for me to be the congressman. I came in second. The person that won served many, many years in the federal penitentiary.
Really? Huh.
After he was elected, they found a bribe list.
Oh, goodness.
But the experience, first of all, I studied speech communications. I got my degree in that. I got a degree in political science. I was always intrigued. What a wonderful experience. Now, this is 1992. 2026, right now, I want no part of that. Government politics has changed tremendously. It was different then. But it gives me that experience.
Let me ask you, Jeff, if you had to right now be part of the government, what position would you?
When you say had to.
If you could swing a magic wand, right? And you could say, I want to change things. I want things to be better. Because your goal, and I see it, is that you want to help people. You want to serve, right? So how could you best serve someone if you were in politics, if you were in the government body?
Well, currently at all levels of government, we've lost civility. We've lost a welcoming culture. Elected officials are elected by the people. We are employed by the people we serve. We're not employed to better ourselves, not employed because we're great. We're employed to give back. And a key part of a leader is listening to your constituency and cooperation, collaboration. Look, it is okay to disagree, but don't hate the person. Don't be vile about the person. Don't blame the person. I mean, our country was built on disagreements, but collaboration is more important. So until this culture changes, I don't see that happening.
Right.
But yes, the goal is to make it better, to actually listen and understand why you're there, understand who put you there. This is a job application. You're applying for a job, and it's not one employer, it's all your constituency are your employers. So the culture is toxic, and I'm not going to do that now. We'll see what happens, but it needs to change a more collaborative, communicative, civil culture.
Absolutely. I'm with you. There is so much that is lacking, or that is misguiding where we're heading, I believe. But I'm not here to talk politics, right? I'm here to get to know you and the impact that you are making. So now you're in San Diego a year and a half, and you're loving it, right?
Yeah.
Great weather. I love San Diego. The weather's always great. And if it rains, it's not long. And if it's cold, it's not long. So that's one of the things. Every time I went there, I enjoyed it so much. And all the different restaurants and all the places to go see and be with. But everywhere we go, there's always situations, problems that arise. What are some of the things that you've seen in your own communities, because you are part of the community, that could benefit from your expertise?
When I was here from 1981 to 2003, as I mentioned earlier, I became very much involved in the community. On a lot of nonprofit boards, I actually, I think it was 1990 or 91, I helped found the San Diego Human Relations Commission. So when I came back here in August of '84, like I said, it's been about a year and a half, I wanted to get back involved in the community. And I was introduced to an organization called Kindness Initiative. And the mission of the Kindness Initiative, they've realized that about 10 to 15% of the Jewish community is at or below the poverty level. So one thing that the Kindness Initiative has created is a gamak. A gamak, I want you to imagine a retail warehouse. You have clothes, you have toys, bedding, pots, pans, tools, toiletries, and families come in and just take what they want. No charge to take what you want. And it's not only that, there's also social workers, case workers that will help people in those particular challenges. And I was humbled to be asked to chair the men's committee of this organization. And again, to utilize passion, just this past Sunday, we had our inaugural poker tournament. Imagine that.
Right.
So it was, and since this is new, an opportunity for it to be aware that we exist. And we had some steaks, and it was outdoors in San Diego. It was fun. So I'm also involved in another business community out here, and it's about 600 professionals. And not only is it good for business, for Conceive, Believe, Achieve, it enhances my ability to serve my clients and others, because you don't know what you don't know, and you find others who play it with your work at. I mean, so they're my resource now to a huge area of experts, which can benefit the people that come to me. So every community has challenges, but if you focus on the challenge, you'll be in that environment. But if you focus on the positive, I mean, my email is focused.positive@CBA Consultant. My name, you'll never appear in that, because that's how I believe I choose to live my life. Every day, I have a gratitude journal on my desk. And every day, I write at least 3 things that I'm grateful for. Because, your altitude creates your attitude. If you're down this, you're like here. But if you're a good attitude, you're up and you're there. So I've been accused of seeing life through rose-colored glasses. I am a realist, but I'm also an optimist. So that's kind of goes to the essence of how I want to make change. I want to make everyone's life better. And as long as you understand and listen what the challenges are, Sifu, in over 60 years of life and 40 years in business, I've seen things. So as I listen to people, I can gain on my personal experiences to help others.
And you're very, very good at that. Every time you always say, Sifu, what can I help you? And I love that, because it shows you care, but you're not asking for anything in return. You're just saying, how can I be of service? And that's a trait that not everyone has. Wouldn't it be better if everybody did have that? We'd all be helping each other. We'd all grow as a community and as a world all together. Jeff, you started Conceive, Believe, Achieve. Those 3 words mean so much. Why those 3 words?
When you start a business, you have to pick a name for your business. And I think going back in my life, I've always had this credo, because you can conceive, believe, achieve if you put your mind to it. Look, going back into grade school, I was 12 years old, 13 years old, and I became an officer of a New York State organization because I had that passion. I shared with you I wasn't successful in the bar exam the first time, but I wanted it and I was going to find a way. Our daughter is 37 now, but it took us 5 years before my wife actually conceived to have our daughter. So looking back throughout my life, my career, I think I've always had that drive, that desire, and I've lived by that credo. So why not open the business and call it Conceive, Believe, Achieve?
Love that. Love that. I'd like to share a video with you guys now. Just take a look.
Please.
You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today. Reset your life.
You know, first of all, thank you for sharing that with everyone who's privileged enough to listen to your presentation. Because look what we've talked about. Almost every level of your program we've discussed. Now, the one word that you used, failure, most people are afraid of that. Embrace failure. You know, in my businesses, I probably over the business, I've had about 100 employees. And I always encourage my employees to fail, to make mistakes, not the same one twice, but when you look at the word fail, F-A-I-L, really, that's a first attempt in learning. So if you don't fail, you don't learn. And with your plan, it's create that plan. Create it and abide by it. When I teach my clients, you go back in grade school. We've talked a little about grade school. You got an A was good grade, correct, Sifu?
Yep.
A plus was even better. But what I teach is the A++ method. First, it's awareness. What's around you? What do you want? What is that awareness? Once you establish that awareness, action. Create action, take steps, actions. And that third A, which is sometimes the most difficult for people, is accountability. And everything in your plan talks about accountability. So you have to be accountable. Look, self-accountability is nirvana. Not everyone reaches nirvana. So what tools, process, procedures, individuals do you have? Look, for the past 5+ years, 5 days a week, I have an accountability partner. We speak to each other 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week. I'm in San Diego, she's in Minnesota. So even the time doesn't change. But we have a scorecard, a weekly goal, and a daily sheets. So we keep each other accountable. And that's a very important day. So if you or anyone listening here doesn't have that method of accountability, that's how you're going to get together and conceive, believe, achieve.
I love that. I love that. So many. I had an accountability partner, and I thought it was going to be a two-way street. It wound up being one way, and it was only her way. So it started correctly. It started the right way, like you said. And then all of a sudden, it was just about her complaining about her day. And it just got old really quick, right? It wasn't accountability. It was a complaining hotline. And I was the one listening. And you know me, I'm very kind. I'm not going to not listen. Thank God it kind of fell by its wayside by her choice. But you're right. Accountability partners are so important. I have an accountability meeting every Monday with people who are doing this particular program because we want to know how they're doing. And it's not a fact of we're going to reprimand you if you don't follow the rules. Because guess what? Life happens. You're going to mess up. You're going to fall down. And I am the mayor of failure, by the way. Okay, or if you look up the dictionary and you look fail, you're going to see my picture because I fail every day, thousands of times. But you're right. It's not the same failure, right? Because one of the things that I do every day is I am exceptional, but I keep getting better every day. But I cannot get exceptionally better if I'm making the same mistakes, because then I'm blinded by the mistakes and not realizing the importance of correcting the mistakes, right? Just like an airplane has to self-correct, otherwise you will not land in your destination, right? Because the winds will come. All different things will happen.
See, you don't, as with your accountability partner, you do not want toxicity in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not everyone believes this, but it's true, and I know you do, and you teach this as well. We are all capable of living a life by design, not by default. Too many people live a life by default. So if you can figure out what is inspiring in all the environments around you, and you mentioned that in your video. So if you can create inspiring environments and get rid of all the expiring environments, then you are living a life by design. And isn't that what we all want?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Conceive. Every day, I think that we have to conceive what the day is going to look like. Right? When do we do that? Do we do it in the middle of it, or do we plan for it?
Well, those who fail to plan to fail. So once again, to a life by design and accountability, do you want to look at your week, your day, your quarter, your year, and what do you want to achieve? What are the benchmarks? Because if look, everyone has goals. Right. Goals are breaking down to projects, to timelines, to action steps, to reality. That's how you make your dream a reality. First, you got to see what you want. And it's usually a very big thing, and that's okay. Break it down to the projects, plans, actions, steps, as reality. So planning is very important because you don't want to live by default. Understand things come up. The goal is to have no urgencies in life. You mentioned the word conceive. I ask my clients, what makes you wealthy? What makes you healthy? And they ask that. And then the difficult question is, what makes you happy? A lot of people don't know what makes them happy. And once they identify that, we all learned about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and a timeline. So in happiness, how can you measure happiness? You measure your weight, you measure your wealth, you measure your happiness. So understand what it is that you want. And that's usually the most difficult question. But once you do that, that's your inspiration. And you can create your life around your inspiration, because what inspires Sifu may not inspire Jeff, may inspire Sally or Fred or John. So understand what is your personal inspiration and create the life you want by design.
Mm. And so that's the belief aspect, isn't it?
Yeah. After you figure it out, to believe it. And there's no magical pill. Oh, like the law of attraction. I believe it's going to happen. Yeah, well, you got to know what you want and you believe it. But then what are the action steps? What have you learned from the mayor of failure? What have you learned and how can you create that? How can you change that? How can you be more specific? Because the greater level of specificity, it makes it a lot easier because you're chunking big things down into smaller steps. All right, I want to make $120,000 a year. Well, that may be a lot, but it's just, all I got to do is make only $10,000 a month. Oh, only $2,500 a week. 500 a day. So the more you chunk it down, then magically you'll not only achieve, you'll surpass the goals if you make it easy. Look, we talked about childhood. When you were 10 years old, Sifu, 8 years old, what was your job?
Actually, I did have a job at 10.
What was your job?
Well, supposedly I should have been a great student and a great son and a great brother, but I also worked at the bingo hall cleaning it. So I was a janitor.
Okay, at 8 and 10, let's go back in time. What was your job at 5 years old?
Just to play and have fun.
Bingo.
That's
at
it.
5 years old, your job was to play and have fun. Who says in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you can't do that anymore? Because if you design your life to play and have fun, it's going to be that more inspiring. Your job is to enjoy the life that you were given and have fun. And don't tell me that's hard. It's easy once you design it.
Yeah, I'm still a Toys R Us kid, man. I got to tell you. They actually opened up a Toys R Us in the outlets in Deer Park recently.
Nice.
Yeah, they brought it back. I don't know how long it'll last, but so one of the things that I tell everybody is that when I grow up, I'll get a job. But I'm like, nah, I don't want to get a job when I grow up either, because yeah, I say that I worked in a bingo hall when I was 10 years old, but I got to tell you, I actually enjoyed it. I was having fun doing it because and the reward was that I looked when I first walked in and it was dirt everywhere, garbage, and I had to clean it. But then I would finish and I would look and I would be proud. I would be so proud that, yeah, look at this place now. And it's because of me. So pride came into everything that I did because I realized that for me to get something done, I would have to look back and see what I accomplished. And so I always found anytime I took on a task, the goal was to see what I accomplished, always. And that has been my life, right? What have I accomplished? What have I done? You asked me earlier, I just had an event in San Diego. I'm not San Diego, listen to me, in Tampa, right? I just had an event in Tampa. And there was a lot of things before the event. There's a lot of things going on during the event. A lot of great things happened, a lot of mishaps happened. But overall, am I proud? When I look back, I got to tell you, it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal event. People are still talking about it. People are throwing selfies and videos and all this stuff because they enjoyed themselves so much that they are now inviting other people to come to my next event. I didn't even start inviting people yet, but they are. So can I look back and say, wow, look what I did and be proud of me? Just as when I cleaned that bingo hole at 10 years old and look back and see what I did and be proud of me. Yeah. And that's what keeps me going so much. And that's where the fun comes in. I think so. So I'm still a kid at heart. Always will be.
And you've just shared something so important and so powerful. What you're doing right now is you are celebrating your successes. A lot of business owners are A personalities, they're driven, or even employees working for business, they're driven because they want to achieve that, but they don't stop and celebrate the successes. Even the little success, you celebrate. That's one reason I also put my gratitude journal every day. But you're there, you're driven. It's life. It's not a dress rehearsal. You got to celebrate. And if you celebrate, there's the more of the inspiration and none of the exploration. So
That's
congratulations on, first of all, a successful event. And congratulations on celebrating your success.
Every day is a celebration. Listen, I woke up this morning, I'm alive. Thank you, Lord. Right? So every day we should celebrate us, right? Because no matter where I go, there I am. There I am, right? And we have to accept the beauty inside of us.
Yeah.
The outside doesn't matter as much as the inside, right? We're all going to look different. Even if you're a twin, you're still going to look different, right?
And you always, you choose, you're right. Everyone is different, but you choose to enjoy. Meaning there are miserable people in this world.
No
They
doubt.
don't choose to enjoy. Not only do you choose to enjoy yourself, you teach that. You inspire others. And you utilize all the environments that we live in to teach the inspiration. And that's a success not only for us, it's a success for you. So you should be, congratulated on all of that.
And you talked about there's miserable people in the world. I think they were put here to challenge us. What are your thoughts on that? Sometimes we need those people in our lives, don't we? Even the ones that are going to make it difficult.
I wouldn't go as far as we need miserable people. Look.
So we can help them, and maybe they.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
Too, right?
But it's interesting. So the miserable people, can you control them?
No, I can't control even the happy ones.
The only individual who can control is yourself. You can't make people think a certain way. You can think a way, and they can choose how they want to be. So look, if people are miserable, let them be miserable. But if they're willing to enhance and become inspired, there are plenty of people to help them, but they got to make that choice.
Right.
No one can tell somebody they need to release weight. No one can tell someone they need to get off the street. No one can tell someone they had an issue with health. You have to want it. And when you want it, that's where the believe comes in. You know you can do it. And it does happen if you want it, if you design your life.
Absolutely. I teach from 4 years old to the oldest I've ever taught is 102. And it's really interesting because maybe a couple of months ago, I had a 7-year-old come to me. And I'm looking at him, and he is just miserable. And there's other times that this kid is super happy. So I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "Nobody likes me." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "They just don't like me." I said, so I kept saying, why? And finally he says, "Because Johnny wouldn't let me say something to him." And so I said, "So who's Johnny?" He goes, "He's my best friend." "So your best friend doesn't like you?" "Not today, because he wouldn't let me talk. He wouldn't let me tell him something." I'm like, "Oh, have you ever done that to Johnny?" "Yeah." I said, "So do you like Johnny?" "Yeah." "See, you just misunderstood." So after a couple of minutes, I said, "Do a handstand." He's like, "I don't know how to do a handstand." I said, "You want me to teach you how?" "Okay." I said, "But once I put you in a handstand, you know what's going to happen to that frown?" "What?" "It's going to get upside down. You're going to be smiling." So even before I started teaching, he started smiling. He goes, "Sifu, you're so silly." I said, "Yeah, that's right. And that's why I want you to do it. Smile. Just have some fun. Don't let it go." Right? Because I'm sure Johnny likes you.
what else you were teaching the 7-year-old kid, and that we should teach everyone, is confidence. If you are confident, no, don't cocky people don't like, but if you are confident in yourself and what you're doing, it's going to come through. Because like I say, you can't control others, you can't tell what to think, but if you're enjoying what you're doing, surprise, other people around you are going to get that. You're going to emanate that. And how wonderful for that individual, that 7-year-old, to learn at such a young age to be confident and happy. So that's a true blessing that you imparted, Sifu.
Jeff, talk to us about Conceive, Believe, Achieve, your business. Talk to us about what somebody can expect when they come to your website, right? Because I think it's such an important value that people really, really need to grasp.
So I'm not the retail store where you get this, and this costs this and that costs that. Before I work with a client, and Sifu, you own your business, I own your business, we decide who we're going to work with. You got to understand what they want. And what they want is how you can provide them. And I tell you, 60 years of life plus 40 plus years of business. So there are a lot of different programs that I have. I have an elite coaching program where people meet with me once a week for a very targeted one-on-one individual relationship. And they have unlimited calls, unlimited texts, unlimited emails. That's one program for people who want that. Then I have a program called Oxygen Influx. Because if you or your business is suffocating, there's something wrong. You need that oxygen. So we figure out what that is and clear it. And well, first of all, that's done within 30 days. And then there's other programs you can add to that. I'm also retained as a fractional chief operating officer. Now, I'm not there to take over with the CEO or the COO or CFO. Everyone has that high impact, high income, and you find others who play at what you work at. And my sandbox is operations. Now, I've worked with professional service firms. I've worked with manufacturing and distribution firms, retail wholesale firms, multinational companies, and entrepreneurs. So understanding what the need of that client is, and we formulate the plan, because those who fail to plan to fail. We form a plan for what they need, and if it's different levels. And I say, whether you're butcher, baker, or candlestick maker, business is business. There's certain levels of operations. And whether you're Joe's Tires or you're Microsoft, every single business has the exact same thing. Is called human beings. Sometimes people go forward and it says, you're not listening. In 2018, I was hired as the chief operating officer for a SaaS company. They were in 3 countries and 34 states. And they had a tech team and a sales team. And when I was brought in as the COO, my requirement was to meet with all the employees one-on-one to find out exactly what's going on, what you like, what's wrong. Now, the tech team had people from India, from China, from Russia, so there was some cultural differences. I thought, hey, here's the new guy, I'm going to get fired. No, I want to listen to you. So my admin came into me. He said, Jeff, I've been speaking to the sales force, and they know your policy of the one-on-one, and they want me to tell you something. No one has ever listened to them before.
Wow.
So listen to what the need is and create that environment. And that company, we turned a lot of things around because the tech team was a silo, the sales team was a silo, and the clients, they weren't listening to it. So the clients told the sales team told the tech team did what they had to do, and we turned that around. So everyone wants to be heard. And when you work with me, I listen. But sometimes, as I said earlier, people don't know what they want. Regardless whether you're with the elite coaching program, the oxygen influx, the fractional consulting, everyone's got to do a very, very deep exercise to explore their environments before they even start working. What environments are inspiring, what environments are expiring, and how we can design your life and business.
Love it. Love it. Everybody make sure you go and check out Jeff's website, right? It's cba-consultant.com. Jeff, I got to tell you, it's always been a pleasure. And I know that when you come to Long Island, or if I go to San Diego, we got to get together, break some bread. And I know you're coming. Tell us again about your event that you're coming to.
Yeah, I want to let everyone know about this. On April 29th, it's the last Wednesday in April. This will be the 10th anniversary of Life's Angels. It'll be at the Mansion of Oyster Bay in Woodbury. We'll have unlimited food, unlimited drink, unlimited candy. You'll have pizza. You'll have ice cream sundaes, and you'll have poker. We have these commentators from the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. They fly in at no charge to Life's Angels. They says, poker plays usually I could take, you guys give. So for years and years, Norman Chad and Lon McCarran been doing this for decades. They volunteer their time, they come out there. And besides at least 24 prizes that you can win. If you don't play poker, we have a networking, a cocktail hour. You eat, you drink, you have fun, you meet people. We are giving away, given our 10th anniversary, top 2 prizes or a $10,000 entry to the World Series of Poker. Because, like I say, we've given away over $700,000. We've changed lives. And you can look at lifesangels.org and see the stories of the beneficiaries we help. And please come, enjoy. It's a great event with great people. If you play poker, you'll have fun. If you don't play poker, you'll have fun. So that's April 29th. The last Wednesday in April at the Mansion of Oyster Bay in Woodbury.
Love it, love it. And make sure that you send me the information so I can make sure I can get there myself. Right? Cool. It'll be a great time. It'll be a great time for sure. All right, everybody.
I always enjoy investing time with you. It's just an inspiration. Thank you.
Everybody, do me a favor. Someone that you may know needs to listen to this podcast. So go ahead and share it with them. I got to tell you, it's a blessing. Jeff, thank you. Everybody, God bless. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.